Hello everyone and welcome to episode 6 of Offbeat.
Before we begin this episode, we'd like to farewell one of Australia's biggest TV personalities, Bert Newton. He served our TV landscape for over 6 decades. He is a true Australian legend who will be missed dearly.
The Premier of Victoria, Dan Andrews, has confirmed a state funeral for the TV icon, stating, "We'll all have an opportunity to honour his memory, his talent and his achievement at a state funeral."
So with that, goodbye Bert.
Onto more Offbeat news. 3 children have been admitted to hospital after trying to attempt a new TikTok challenge.
That's not upbeat.
No, I guess not. They were trying to recreate a game from the Korean hit show Squid Game.
The one where they hide behind a giant doll of a scary looking girl and if they move forward they get shot by her?
No. It was the one where you lick the honeycomb and you have to make it into a shape.
Oh, that's literally the safest one to do.
I mean, the children did get injuries ranging from mild burns to nerve damage from trying to cook the honeycomb.
Meaning it's more of a fault with the food and cooking safety and not the TV show.
That's right, the games from the show are perfectly safe and everyone should try them. Having said that, the school principal from Adelaide did have to write a letter to the parents to warn them about their children being negatively influenced by the game.
Here we go.
I'm sorry?
Well, this is more proof that kids need to be deprived of films, TV and video games. It clearly influences them too much.
Oh, so you're supporting censorship?
Of course. Back in my day, we used to play ping pong. Hours of endless fun with a pixel going back and forth.
How old are you?
I tell ya, they play games like the Grand Theft Automobile and then they go out shooting and looting. Hooligans.
Actually, it's funny that you mentioned Grand Theft Auto because I've got here, in December, Rockstar Games will be releasing a graphically upscale remaster of GTA 3, GTA Vice City and GTA San Andreas in the Grand Theft Auto, the trilogy, the definitive edition.
Oh golly gosh, we need some of the great heralders and censorship back. Ronald Reagan and Michael Atkinson would be rolling around in their grave.
That Michael Atkinson isn't dead. Actually, we've got some exclusive footage of the GTA Definitive Edition to share with you all.
However, this is the Australian version of the game, so some of the footage has gone some slight censorship from the Australian Classification Board, but you'll barely notice a difference.
It looks amazing.
I can't believe it. Characters now have an extra 3 polygons in total.
The blessings of technology and games. Lockdown restrictions continue to lift and life is coming back to normal for all. However, some are still protesting pandemic laws. We've managed to track down one of the protesters because we love exploring alternative perspectives, even if they are completely irrational. Please welcome to the show, Bob Time Waster.
Good to be here, Felicity. Lockdowns are oppression.
Hi Bob, it seems that you're still protesting as we speak. What exactly are you protesting?
All the pandemic laws that locked us in our homes all year and robbed us of our freedoms.
I see, but don't you know that we're out of a lockdown now, right?
Oh, well, yeah, but the government's still trying to pass new pandemic laws at this very moment and so they can get into our homes all over again. So, you know, we're all getting vaccinated and this has got to stop.
I couldn't agree more, Bob, but don't you think it would be more effective and easy just, to write a letter to your local member of parliament or government or whatever instead of, standing out here for hours protesting on your own?
I'm not alone.
You are alone.
I swear there was a massive crowd here a moment ago. I didn't know where they went, but I swear they were here.
Sure, but don't you realise, retail is open, you can travel to regional Victoria, cafes are open, restaurants, they're all open. Like, what more do you want, Bob?
Cafes are open?
Yeah, if you're vaccinated.
Including my local coffee shop.
That's a cafe.
I'll be right back.
Ooh, it seems that his protest has been interrupted by a coffee break, but we'll check in with him later. I'll make sure I'll get him back in. But coming up, we have an amazing interview with up-and-coming Melbourne band Barefoot Bowls Club. Don't go anywhere. The Barefoot Bowls Club are a 4-member garage rock band based in Melbourne. They released their first debut EP in 2019, Barefoot Bowling, and most recently released a single this year called Teeth. It's a great honour to be joined by 3 of the band's members, Grace, Astrid and Clancy, to show us what it's like to be in an indie band. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us, the Barefoot Bowls Club, for our interview on Offbeat. So my first question is, how did your band form?
So basically, Clancy and I grew up together playing music, and I wanted to start a band specifically called Barefoot Bowls Club. Well, I was at a gig with my best friend and or housemate, Brianna, and in the background currently making.
Oh, hi, Brianna.
And I was at a gig at a bowls club, and it was actually Clancy's other band's gig. And Think Cut Society, who my other housemate plays in.
Love it.
Yeah, and so Brianna and I were playing lawn bowls, which was like the one and only time I've ever played lawn bowls. And I was like, this is a fantastic band name. And so I rang around a few people, including Grace, and I was like, you should rename your band Barefoot Bowls Club because it's a good name. And everyone said no. So then Clancy and I decided to start it. And then we played one gig without a bass player, and it was a disaster. It was fun, but we caught up G-Ray, and then and then we started playing gigs all together. And then we eventually acquired our friend Skater Kate as our harmonica player and or multi-instrumentalist. So we are a 4-piece.
So what inspired you all to pursue a music career?
I guess for me and Clancy, like our parents met because they were in a band and then started dating. And so we grew up playing a lot of music with our family. And then Grace sort of found her own way to music through school and stuff.
I think I had a really good bass teacher. I think she just I really enjoyed what I was doing. I didn't realize that it would be something I enjoyed so much. And then I think I got to the end of high school and I was like, oh, well, I may as well just keep studying this. So I kept studying music. And I think also family, like my family's really into music as well. Not as musically talented as what family. We more stick to like car karaoke.
Beautiful. Love it.
I think it is an important part of family and stuff like that. So it's always been around the house.
So what are your musical influences then? Do you have any?
That's a really good question. I feel like when we started the band, like a lot of our musical influences were bands like The Creases, which is funny because our stuff sounds nothing like The Creases.
I think it's interesting because we all come from we all have common interests in bands, but in terms of like what we like to play, we're all quite different. Like Astrid comes from a bit more of like a folk background. Clancy, surf rock, I think would be whether it's guitar or drums. And then I like funk music and a bit groovy stuff. So you put us all together and then you get something, just a mix of it all.
I love it, a bit of everything, and then it all just kind of goes together. That's so cool.
We definitely have like bands that we enjoy.
Like
Creases. I think at the time there was like the Kooks.
We went down the Melbourne indie rock path.
So listening to your songs and to your music, they seem to be personal and you draw on personal experiences. Was that intentional? Do you always want to sing about personal things?
So I write all the lyrics and it's really interesting. I think like a lot of the songs start out with just like a little idea or a concept, whether it's like getting sunburn or, you know, a house or a place or whatever. And then they sort of end up dropping in little personal nuggets of my own truth and my own life in there. And I guess that's sort of just something that has always been my style of songwriting.
I really come to the band with like, oh, I hear this song as like a slow, like a ballad, or she'll have an idea in mind, and then give it to Nancy and I, and it will be churned, pulled apart, put back together, and it's something completely different. What could start as a very slow song ends up being punk.
I love that. So you just see where it takes you.
We did most of our early rehearsals at my mum's house, and now Grace and I live together, so we have a big band room, and lots of our housemates are pretty musical as well. So we've got like a million offshoot side band concepts now for isolation.
It's like, oh, we could do this.
I'm like, I've got this one song with this combination of friends. And
I think our first lockdown, we all we were staying with like at our parents' houses, or places where like we couldn't jam with other people. I mean, I had a plumber come over, and he just happened to be a drummer over lockdown. And I was like, you want to possibly stay for about 5 minutes?
Just extra chat. That's hilarious. I love that. Did he enter or?
Absolutely, it was fantastic.
That's incredible.
Nancy produced a whole album.
That's amazing. Oh, congratulations.
This lockdown's been a little bit slower.
It's draining. Yeah,
last year he made a whole album by himself of like sort of psych rock stuff. It's called Gnometivities by Clancy Watt.
So Gnometivities.
Yeah,
so everyone watching, check that out.
So he did that, and then we've been just working on little bits here and there. But I mean, we had plans to make an album. There were a lot of things in the works that sort of haven't been able to happen because we haven't been able to play gigs, so we haven't been able to make money.
I think over lockdown to practice, and like with no pressure to write, it's been nice. Like Ash has been getting extremely good at guitar.
Beautiful.
Which is like we practice the songs that we've written and we play shows. There wasn't a lot of time to like do anything other than play those songs and rehearse those songs. It's nice to explore what else are we listening to, what else do we enjoy, and new skills and stuff like that.
So what would you say has been your career highlight so far?
There's been a few fun times. I mean, there's obviously like the gigs that you have at people's houses that are just really fun. Probably one of our favorite times was going to Adelaide to play at the Lions Arts Factory. We drove all the way over in a big van, all our mates, and it was just really nice to get to go to another city and meet bands from another state. That was probably our career highlight, and there were lots of great bands on that lineup.
And what would you say to anyone who's wanting to create indie music? Do you have any advice for people out there?
That's really interesting. I mean, I guess like in the words of Nike, just do it.
Just
do it. I think so much about the gays were really hard. It was like not really knowing people in the music industry. It was just like going out every week and playing terrible shows to absolutely no one except like our mates. And I think to keep doing it and keep gigging and keep playing music and making friends with these bands so that you can play better shows and better venues. And I think just like just being nice to people and taking an interest in other local musicians is really important. So I guess as Barefoot Bowls Club, we've got heaps of new songs in the work. We're finally going to do our launch for our song Teeth that we released ages ago on the 8th of December.
That was an awesome song, by the way. That was.
Thank you. We are eventually going to start recording our album when we're allowed out into the world a bit more, which I guess we are.
So we've got a bit to look forward to then. Love
exactly.
that.
I think Barefoot Bowls Club will do things, and then we're all going to go and
then do your own. So we're going to have to watch out for the Barefoot Bowls Club. Beautiful. So what's the best way we can like keep up to date with all your activities?
Our Gnometivities are mostly documented on our Instagram. That's what we're best at doing, and then we also share stuff for all our mates' bands and these guys' other projects and stuff as well. So Instagram is just Barefoot Bowls Club.
Beautiful. So everyone listening, Barefoot Bowls Club, follow that on Instagram. Then you can keep up to date with happening as well.
Exactly. Yeah. And be
beautiful.
careful not to follow any actual Barefoot Bowls clubs because they are also on Instagram.
Okay, so everyone hear that as well. Okay, we don't want that. We want the band. We don't want
The band, not the sport.
band. Well, thank you so much to Greg,
Worries.
Astrid, and Darcy. Thank you so much for your time and joining us on Offbeat. Like, I seriously can't wait to see everything else you all get up to and see what like the future holds and all of that. Yeah, but thank you so much for joining us today. Seriously, really appreciate it, and I'm sure everyone watching will have gotten a lot out of it.
Thanks so much, Felicity.
you.
Cheers.
Thanks so much to the Barefoot Bowls Club, a terrific and seriously talented Melbourne-based band who I'm sure we'll all be keeping an eye on for in the future to see what they all get up to. All right, we're going to check back in with Bob and his protesting. That is, if he's still out there protesting.
Sure am, Felicity.
You are. Really? That's interesting, Bob. What exactly are you protesting now?
Mask mandates. Don't see why we gotta wear them outdoors.
Oh, no, but we don't have to. We've only got to wear them indoors. And if you can't do that for whatever reason, you can get a medical exemption.
Ah, well, I'm protesting that theatres aren't open yet.
Oh, no, but they actually are open, just at a reduced capacity. But again, if you're vaccinated, which you clearly are because you're able to go off and get yourself a coffee, then you're all good.
Well then, I'm protesting, I'll be honest, Felicity. I spent all lockdown protesting it, and now that it's over, I just don't know what to do with my time.
Oh, I get that, Bob. It is sort of weird that all these protests are now obsolete, and yet they still continue, but you can go back to your normal activities again. You can go out, see your friends, go to a movie, go get a meal, go shopping.
Yeah, but none of those activities allow me to yell at strangers and wave a sign around, and I really like that as a catharsis to this pandemic.
You could scream into a pillow in the privacy of your own home.
Or I could just protest something new.
Yes, you could do that as well. Old habits die hard, I guess. Anyway, we'll come back to you soon, Bob, to see how you're all going, but mostly to make sure we'll just see if we can stop you harassing strangers. Anyway, we've got to go take a break, but stay tuned.
Welcome back. Melbourne's alleyways and pathways have long been a blank canvas for artists to experiment their style and genre onto. Whether it's Hosier Lane, Duckboard Place or ACDC Lane, many of these locales tell a multi-layered story about the history of Melbourne and its talented artists. However, one of the many famous locations is of course Blender Lane, home to the work from famous street artist Blurk Larat and British artist Moose, will unfortunately be demolished by a 41-storey development. Telling us about this gut-wrenching story is our chief reporter, Jack Sanders.
Thank you, Kendra. In a new proposal for a 41-storey development near the Queen Victoria Market, the artistic laneway creations in Blender Lane are set to be perished. But why does the Victorian government insist on destroying the artwork which makes our city so special? Time for a quick history lesson. Throughout the 1970s and 80s, most of Melbourne's disaffected youth were influenced by the graffiti in New York City. This inspired many forms of street art that appeared across Melbourne's inner suburbs and along suburban railways and tram lines. Many forms of street art began to crop up across Melbourne. These include woodblocking, sticker art, poster art, wheat pasting, various forms of street installation, and even reverse graffiti. A strong sense of community ownership and DIY ethics exists amongst Melbourne street artists, some of whom even use their art to act as an activist. Some famous areas include Abbotsford, Brunswick, Richmond, South Yarra, and St Kilda. The increase in street art inspired and brought about many supporters but also detractors. Many of these artworks were supposed to fall under the Victorian Heritage Register. However, those in government that set these rules are so indecisive, and they always seem to tiptoe around whether or not they agree or disagree with Melbourne street art. Which is pretty strange, considering that the City of Melbourne created incentives such as the Do Art Not Tags educational presentation in 2007, which defined the differences between art and graffiti to primary school students. But then in 2010, the famous Melbourne artist and activist known as Banksy had his parachuting rat stencil destroyed by council workers. They love us. They love us not. This very confusing debate on the effectiveness of the heritage system has battled on and on for years now. In 2013, Melbourne City Council stated, "Protection of street art is not practical. The only exception may be for especially commissioned artwork." Well, I guess artwork isn't as subjective as many of us thought. Goodbye, Blender Lane. Expression of artwork is very important in Melbourne's culture and will hopefully continue to exist for years and years to come.
Thank you so much for that heartwarming story. Now the big question on everybody's lips is why Elvis Presley did not tour over here in Australia. Despite this, the king of rock and roll always had a devoted following here.
You know who else has a devoted following in Australia? ABBA!
If COVID put a dent in your plans to visit Graceland or even the annual Parks Elvis Festival in New South Wales, you can get an up-close look at the life and times of the king in, of all the places, Bendigo.
Did you know that there's an ABBA museum in Stockholm?
From the 19th of March, some of 300 artefacts from Elvis's personal collection will go on display at the Bendigo Art Gallery.
Yeah, there's a stage where you can see with the holograms of Benny and Anna and Bjorn and Frida, and they have loads of costumes and memorabilia.
Elvis, direct from Graceland, offers a look into the many costumes from Presley's Vegas period. The MG convertible he drove in the Blue Hawaii movie, his first job application, and even his childhood crayon box.
And it has a VR section where you can take a virtual helicopter ride to the island where they wrote their biggest hits.
It's unknown at this stage whether the gallery will offer the king's favourite food.
Yeah, some of the exhibition toured here in 2010, but I didn't get to see it because Mum disabled all of my Google alerts of ABBA around the time.
Such as deep fried peanut butter, banana bacon sandwiches. We'll give this story an update once we get it.
I thought was pretty messed up with her at the time, but she said she was genuinely worried that, I would never want to leave the exhibition and that I'd want to stay there forever.
Felicity!
Sorry, what were you saying?
March 19th to June 22nd, Bendigo Art Gallery.
Wow, an ABBA museum. That sounds amazing. Anyway, let's check in with Bob one last time to see how things are going. Bob, are you there? Bob, what's happening?
Well, Felicity, I'm still protesting, but I've realised that there's so much more to protest outside of this pandemic.
I really like poverty, inequality, climate change.
No, my local coffee shop only sells paper straws, and I hate paper straws.
May I ask why?
Paper straws dissolve in liquid. The object literally can't perform its function.
Well, I see. Well, that's true, but I guess they have to do it because it's better for the environment than the plastic straws. Or you could bring your own metal straw.
Metal straws are a thing?
Yes, they are.
Ah, well, then I'm protesting the weather.
Like literal climate change instead of human causes of climate change?
No, we had a storm recently and it kept me up all night because it was really loud. Also, a chunk of me roof fell off.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that, but you're going to protest the weather?
No, I'm going to protest the Melbourne Bureau of Meteorology for not accurately forecasting just how bad this storm would be.
Well, it is Melbourne after all, and when has anyone ever been able to accurately predict the weather here?
Good point. If I were to expect anyone to be able to predict the weather, it would have been the Melbourne Bureau of Meteorology.
Fair enough. Well, I guess the moral of the story is don't protest the now ended lockdowns. Just protest the weather, but do it quickly because summer is coming. Then the protests will be obsolete too. Thanks for joining us, Bob.
It's been a pleasure, Felicity. Thank you for helping me with my protest.
I don't want to take credit for that, but okay.
And with that is the end of the episode.
That it is. Thank you to the Barefoot Bowls Club for their interview. Don't forget to check out their music. It's highly recommended.
Me too. I'm unwrapping my headphones as we speak. Dang cord.
Oh, that is such a nuisance. Anyway, I hope everyone has a wonderful night. This is Offbeat.